Hi, I'm Jeff Rood, and I'm the president of the WYN Group. The WYN Group came about actually when I was about 22 years old, fresh out of college and doing my first interviewing. What happened was the first question that came out in the interview was, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? And I had prepared quite a bit for the interview, so I thought I was pretty good. I answered everything about me. And the last statement I made was, and I think I have a pretty good sense of humor. Well, at that time, the interviewer then said, oh, well, make me laugh. I didn't anticipate that question. And I sat there and looked at him and looked at him and looked at him, and the best I could do is tell him, I like your tie. His response to that was, aha, funny. Well, guess what? Because of that simple statement, I pretty much blew the interview. I couldn't think of another response to any of his questions because I worried so much that I blew the interview on that question. So the WYN Group came about from that conversation, and the WYN method of interviewing is what I developed to avoid those type of problems. In the interview process, everybody's a bit generic. So this represents you going into the interview process. We all look the same. We have a Bachelor of Science degree in whatever. We're interviewing for one job against a lot of different candidates that all have a Bachelor of Science degree in whatever. Well, what happens if you're not different than everybody else, you kind of just sit there and you're generic. So when the question comes to you, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? You really need to come across as somebody different. So the WYN method of interviewing teaches you how to be different in the interview process. And in the interview process, different is good, you're memorable, and you'll stand out from the crowd, which will increase the odds of you getting the job. Well, when a candidate comes to the WYN Group and asks for help, there's two ways they could go about it. One, they could actually pick up the phone and call us or send us an email, and we will contact you directly and we'll work you through the process. That's a little bit more expensive than if you just use our other method, which would be a username, password on our website. You log in, answer a series of questions. Now there are prompts that will help you understand these questions. And then once you answer the questions, you fill it out and it automatically populates your presentation or, in essence, your story. The target audience for the WYN Group could be actually anybody. If you've been out of a job for a while and you're looking for something and you just seem to be taking interview after interview after interview and you don't get anywhere, well, you're a candidate for us. If you're freshly graduated out of college or even out of high school and you really don't have the interviewing skills that you need, you're a candidate for us. We really help people sell themselves in the interview process, and that's what the WYN Group really does. The interview process over all of these years since the early 70s really hasn't changed. It's you telling your story to somebody else. However, the method of getting the interview has changed with the use of computers and all this electronic downloads. What happens is a lot more resumes come filtering in, and the process of getting down to the final candidate is even greater and quicker. So you think about 500 to 1,000 resumes that come in. Eventually that employer's got to whittle it down to 3 to 5 people that come in for a face-to-face interview. So if you get to that point, you still want to stand out in the crowd, and ultimately you want to be that #1 person that gets the job. So if you think about the WYN Group, WYN standing for what's your number, in the interview process, if you're not #1, you didn't get the job. The WYN Group does a lot of research with human resource personnel. We interview them, we talk to them, we understand their needs. One of the biggest complaints that come out of the human resource department about candidates interviewing is today they just can't communicate. When you ask that simple question, tell me a little bit about themselves, surprisingly, a lot of people really don't know what to say. They may come back with an answer saying, well, what do you want to know? Well, unless you know you're not going to get the job. Another thing is employers are stating that critical thinking, the ability to think ahead and to discuss and understand a problem and how to solve that problem is another issue that candidates have. So if you come across in the interview process where you understand these things and you can speak intelligently, understand who you are, understand your employer's needs, then you're going to get ahead of everybody else.